What more do you say? Coming up. Come on, come up now. Can't stop me. You coming up.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to House of Peach. I am one of your lovely hosts. I am Morgan Harvey, and welcome to our show tonight. Yes, we are missing a person, the lovely April. She is doing her due as she normally does. Excuse me. So she is, jet setting and doing the business, the boss stuff. So she unfortunately will not be with us tonight, but I promise you tonight will not disappoint. So, as you know, our normal spiel is this. There is a QR code right there in the corner. Make sure that you scan that with your phone. Make sure that you watch, like, and subscribe. You can get all of that information specifically from that QR code. And then you will also be able to have information as far as what our events we have coming up. So, House of Peach is constantly doing new things and making changes. So we've got events that are coming up. I'm like super, super excited about some female entrepreneurship events that we have going. And hopefully that means that I will be able to finally meet April. So give me a second, because apparently Facebook wants to, there we go. The Facebook wanted to be a little awkward and not let me make sure that everybody is in here. So, hey, Lindsay, how you doing? Exactly. See, I wanted to make sure that I had folks in. So, today we are talking about paving our way to boss, and what exactly does it mean to have to do life, have to alter life sometimes, have to just go and roll with the punches. But eventually we get to a place where we have finally achieved entrepreneurship. I've finally been able to be our own boss and to be able to live and work in our purpose and in our passion. And so I am super excited for our guest today. This is the first time that I am officially meeting her. I actually know her husband as I grew up with him. We went to the same primary school. And so I just love the way, watching over the years, how he has just absolutely doted over her, how he just, loves on her and speaks so highly of her. So when I saw some amazing, amazing accomplishments that Danny was getting in the groove with, it really just allowed me to, give the opportunity to be able to, celebrate such an amazing woman and her accomplishments. What? Yes, I already answered him. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm live. And of course, the 4-year-old wants to go. I said yes. Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye. So without further ado, let's welcome Danny in. Sorry, guys. Hey, Danny. Sorry about that. I'm sure you know about kids, how they just pop on and just do whatever when you in the middle of trying to do stuff. So
yep.
I apologize.
It doesn't get better.
But how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I can't complain. So I had an icebreaker question for you. I like to do things a little differently rather than just jumping into, your typical interview type of questions. So my question is, what are your top 2 spots to travel to and why?
Well, number 1 is New Orleans, always.
Okay.
It is a little smelly and dirty, but I always feel like home when I go there. Just the Southern hospitality, the food, the live music, everything. That's Don and I's spot. And I would say number 2, I am that adult that will go to Disney without my children. I actually prefer Disney World without them.
Oh, listen, I just did Disney in October. So when I tell you, I think I'm looking forward to one of those without the kids too. I feel you on that.
Yeah, it's
I feel
better.
you on that. Are you a roller coaster rider?
I used to be, but as I got older, motion sickness and everything, it's more so for the food. I'm a foodie. I love to eat, and Disney has delicious food.
Yes.
Epcot, I mean, you can't beat it.
I know. I know. Have you been during the Food and Wine Festival?
That's our
Yeah,
favorite time to go.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I figured. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this. Even my 4-year-old was like, I think Epcot was my favorite. Like, it was
It
the food
is.
was it. The food was it. So, give us, I guess, a little bit about yourself, who exactly you are, and then we'll get into what you do, the why you do, and everything else.
Okay. So, first of all, I like to tell people that I am a woman in recovery from mental health. That's where my journey began. I am a wife and a mother and then a therapist. My career always comes after all of those things. So, my favorite jobs are being a wife and a mom.
I
It's
love
just
that.
kind of a big part of my identity, and a lot of what I do is based off of that.
Awesome, awesome. So here's a question in that because I know that there's a constant struggle with what you just said.
Hmm.
How did you get to a place where you put being a wife as, your first priority, how you put being a mom as your second priority, and how do you manage after all of the things that comes with, because we know that those two things are not easy.
Yeah.
Where do you find the time, the strength, the still motivation to then pour into your career?
Honestly, it came from a lot of trial and error. In the beginning, I was very much career focused, school, getting everything done because I felt like I was running out of time. This is
Okay.
actually my second career. I
Okay.
was a hairstylist before I was a therapist. So, thinking that, I had to compete with these 20 something year olds and I had to like just really pour myself into that, I noticed other areas of my life falling, the parts that were important to me. So, seeing where my marriage was starting to, get some cracks in it, more arguments, noticing that my kids, I was missing things. There would be times I used to be a safe house manager, and there would be times where I would go days without seeing my children. We live in the same house. How is that possible?
Mhm.
Um, and so I had no choice but to sit down because I got sick. I made myself sick by
Mhm.
just going, and not resting. And when I sat down, I got like so severely sick that it was almost fatal. And what came to me was, what what would my family say about me? And what I didn't want my
Mm.
legacy to be was, mom worked a lot. Mom, yeah, she built this, but that's where she stayed. Or I didn't want Don, my husband, to think, that I didn't love him because throughout everything, his military career, college, everything, he has always put me first. And so
Mm.
just coming to that recognition of, I started this journey because I wanted to create a legacy for my family, but I forgot about my family
Right, right,
in the
right,
building piece.
right. Absolutely.
So, that why didn't matter because I was just saying yes to everything. If I don't say
Right.
yes, somebody else will say yes to it. Um, and I had to learn how to pace. My business has only been open for 2 years,
Okay.
and there has been, a good amount of growth. But it came also with my own growth, my maturity as a business owner, and recognizing that when my home life wasn't set, I was not set in my career.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
if it wasn't for Don supporting me going through school and building my business, I wouldn't have this. Um, so just knowing that my core values are my family and sticking with my core values. Because when you work outside of that and you're not aligned with that, it don't feel good.
Right. Absolutely. But we see that also too when you got your priorities straight, or like you said, really set and paid attention to what your core values are, that allowed you to be able to grow in the career area. You know what I mean? That allowed, I'm sure, in your marriage for your husband to be able to support you in a different way without it seeming like it was a clash. Because I'm sure the amount of time that you're putting into your business now might be, just the same, if not more or less than what you might have been doing hair wise sometimes. But intentionally it's a little different because the conversation is different, how you're going about it is different. And like, creating those stops. And I think that it's been a reoccurring theme with a lot of our guests so far about how our lack of pacing ourselves or saying no or finding, I guess, what we really prioritizing what we need to do and what we can honestly put on tomorrow's list, or maybe not even or take off our list altogether, can truly make ourselves sick. And, as an entrepreneur, if you're sick, there's no sick days. Like, who's coming to fill in for you? No one.
Nope.
Even if you do have a supportive system, like, no one can do it like you. So
No, being a solopreneur is hard. I did hire my middle one as my executive assistant because I needed that second brain. So it does feel good keeping it in the family.
good.
But to your point, yeah, that just finding that kind of that groove and staying with my values. That's basically what I tell people. I do a lot of self-reflection because I feel like I can't evolve as a business owner if I don't reflect on things. The other piece, and this was told to me when I first opened my business, my girl told me, she said, don't chase cents when you can't be chasing dollars. And so I had to kind of go back because that goes back to that yes, I'll do it. Yes. And it really didn't, it wasn't stuff that I would normally do. It didn't align with the mission of my business. So I always ask myself, where does this fit in with Imagine Me's mission? Does this fit our values? And depending on where it falls, it might be a no. And it hurts to say no when, you're running a business.
It does. But I think one of the biggest things that I have learned, like you said, in the not always saying yes, is that not everything is for you. I have taken the business that's not for me, and it has either hurt me specifically, or for me, I felt like didn't necessarily do what I thought it was going to do as far as, my brand or reputation. So, being able to, it's funny that you say that, like, a lot of your growth has to do with you first when it comes to your business, because entrepreneurship really is a personal growth thing. You find out more about yourself. It really is more of a self journey than it is about the service, because the service sells itself. You know what I mean? You don't get into business selling something that is not going to sell. So it should be able to do it for you. And it's what people are doing is buying into you. And so the fact that you have taken the time to actually do the work on the you, this is why now, people are coming. And you're right. You don't want to chase cents. But in the words of my therapist, he was like, you don't want to chase dollars either. And in a way, he's right, because you know what's for you, you're going to attract. And this way, you don't feel, like you said, you're having to do things that you don't or wouldn't normally do, or that don't align with your brand, just trying to make sure that you can be able to make ends meet. But knowing your value and your worth and saying, nope, this is my price tag. That's how you get those dollars.
Yep, there you go.
That we're talking about.
Know it, yes.
So how do you deal with, while we're talking about price tags, how do you deal with that? And because sometimes when we start businesses, it's people that we know first that are patronizing us, or we use them, kind of as guinea pigs. So how do you deal with that and setting that price? Like, as much as I would love to give that friends and family discount, like.
Honestly, I remind myself all the time of, number one, my education and all those student loans I have. It's very expensive to go to graduate school.
Right.
Also, there's value in the service that I provide as a professional. I am a constant professional. I'm ethical, my integrity, everything that I do. Um, I want to always be practicing above the line. And
Mhm.
it's because of, we have to. We can't,
Mhm.
we don't have the space to be mediocre. We don't have the space to
No,
um not be ethical, if you get what I'm saying. So I
we have no choice.
yeah. So I professionalism and just kind of, I'm sorry, I kind of like lost on my tangent. I have ADHD. Please remind me again
No,
what you
no,
said at the
no, no,
beginning.
you're totally good. I was actually going to kind of piggyback off of that. I was like, talk about that for a minute, how you do have to be the above and beyond. You do have to always be professional, even when peers might not always be, or
Hmm.
that standard that you hold yourself to because you feel like society is also holding, you to it.
Yeah. And I see it as a black business professional, as a black professional. I find a lot that sometimes our work doesn't get the value that it should,
Hmm.
particularly from our own community. And so for me, just constantly reminding us, our community, and saying, um, we want to play with the big dogs. We want to sit at these tables. We want to be making the six figures. Um, so then we have to play that game. We have to maintain that, and we have to
Um,
say that when I'm being a patron or consumer for a black owned business, I'm going to pay you what you're worth, and I'm not going to try to hassle you and haggle your prices down.
right,
Um, and I mean, that's not to say that I won't do like pro bono or sliding scales,
right,
but
right.
it's always based off of the situation and not like, hey, sis, things like
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let it be spirit led rather than that,
yep,
that nudge nudge. I love it.
yeah.
I love it. So let's see. Let's talk about, so you said grad school. Let's talk about college, the fact that you said, trying to compete. You did the college track a little later than the average person. What was that like? Tell us, just dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so originally I did start right out of high school.
Mhm.
That's where I met Don, and we got pregnant right in freshman year. So I had to take a break, do the mom thing. Life happened as it does.
Mhm.
So I want to say right around my mid 30s, early to mid 30s, Don had decided to go back and finish his degree. He was going to take advantage of those wonderful education benefits that the military gives you. And
Mhm.
I was just like, he could do this with a full time job. I think maybe it's time for me to go back. Then I drug my feet a little bit. So then my oldest comes to me and she says, "Why do I have to go to college when you dropped out?" And I was like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, yeah. Those are the questions that burn and be like,
Yeah,
you gotta breathe first before you
yeah,
answer.
like ouch. And
Yes.
okay. So I enrolled 2 days after that. I enrolled into Florida Tech. I
Love it,
was
love
just,
it.
I was like, you have no excuses. And
Yes.
I knew I wanted to go into psychology just because at that time I was working on my own mental health.
Okay.
And just based off my experience growing up, it just wasn't something we talked about or we knew about. And so I wanted to be a trustworthy person to say, hey, guess what, we have these problems, we do have anxiety and depression, whatever else it is that you might be dealing with, and I can help you with that. So that was my goal with that. Once I graduated, and that we lived in Florida when I went to Florida Tech. Once I graduated, I decided to take a year off because I was done with school. Like not done, but I was just like, I
Right.
need a year
I need a
because
break.
that was
Yeah.
hard. I was That time I had Jada was only about 2 or 3 years old. And then the other two, one was in elementary, one was in middle school. I did online classes, but it was really hard because I went through a really rigorous program, lots of homework. Um, and then that year off, I decided to become a behavior tech for children with autism. And I was just like, okay, I'm ready to go back to school. And I was like, I'm going to be a social worker. Nah, that didn't work out for me. I enrolled in to get to a LCSW program, and my first internship, I realized that I got jaded really quick. I wanted to make a difference, and I will say, in my state particularly, it was really hard for me to see myself making a difference and making that a sustainable career without feeling like questioning my impact. So I switched to counseling.
Okay.
Um, and at the time, the only internship I could find was at a domestic violence nonprofit, one of the largest here in the Springs. And I worked my way up from intern to department. I was their safe house department head for a while. Um, and that just continued to just fuel while I was in school. Um, it was a little hard because the school I go to, I am maybe three women of color
Okay.
in the program in my cohort are so it's a well-known school. I went to Regis, very rigorous program, but finding my space um, and finding my voice in that, because I also didn't see me in the textbooks. I didn't see the population that I serve in textbooks. uh, we weren't case studies, and so that was a little, for a while I went through like, do I really want to be a counselor? Is this
Right.
something for me? This field is really elitist, very colonized, for lack of a better word,
Right.
which is why we don't get counseling, because it's not really appealing to us.
Right. Right.
And it took a professor, uh, Dr. DeBell, who to this day is one of my favorite professors, who pulled me aside and said the profession would lose out if you didn't continue. Because I went to her and told her how I was feeling
Mm,
about not wanting to continue the program, not having a voice or finding myself. And she was just like, that would be a loss. And I hope that you stay, and I hope that you bring yourself. And that's all she had to tell me.
mm.
Bring myself. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I decolonized very much of my practice.
Good, good. I mean, you sound like someone who is very in tune to self, or at least has learned how to hear what you need to do, and can stay true to self. Because even when it came to social work, you know what I mean? Sometimes people are like, yo, I need a paycheck. Like, regardless of whether or not I feel like I can, make a difference, like, a job is a job is a job.
Yeah.
But to make that decision, and then still, and I want to harp on some of these hard decisions that you've had to make, because you have made them with still a family, you know what I mean, and with younger children at that time. And a lot of times, you know what I mean, there's this conversation, there's that guilt, there's a lot of things that go behind us pursuing the things that we want to do to make ourselves better, to make our households better, to even for you to being an example for your daughters. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Not to say that that had to have been their path, but you're not going to use, like you said, my experience as a reason for you
Right.
to not do something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, what's that like to carry that responsibility? So I'm a boy mom, so that I feel like they get a little
Yeah.
different from me than what it would be if I had a daughter. What is that like to make those kind of decisions with them watching, knowing that you too are paving some kind of, at least, thought process, path, whatever, when it comes to who they will shape to be?
Well, it's really hard because they people, like, when you become a mom, people only see you as mom and they don't see the other identities attached to mom. Like, I'm a
Right.
woman. I have dreams and these things I want to accomplish. So for me, it was important to first be authentic, to show them that it's for them to be authentic. And while it would be great if they all went to college, I am a parent where, you follow your dreams. And not always does it have to be my path. But I felt like by me paving a way, just them seeing me do it, they didn't have excuses. Can't say that I can't do this because mom did it. Um,
Right.
I did it full-time job with 3 kids. No excuses. And I am a very straightforward, a very direct person with my kids. Always have been, even when they were small. Just very straightforward with why I do things. I'm very intentional in the things that I say around them. Even though I do not like school, I cannot stand school. Am I like? Can I excel at
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But do I want to spend my time doing it? No.
No. Right.
But I'll change my language. Like, oh, I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to go to school, but I hate homework. So
Right.
some
Right.
things
Right.
like that. I really try, because our kids learn from us first.
Mhm.
And whether we're trying to teach them a lesson or not, they're still watching. So I just really just mind how I carry myself and make sure I'm operating as a woman that they can look up to.
Right.
I also teach them to go after whatever it is, no matter if it seems just out of the blue, whether like, do you want to be an astronaut? Might be hard. I mean, we'll figure it out.
Right.
you know,
But there's nothing you can't come to the table and say, hey, I want to do it, and we can't do it. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And that was the other reason for me going back to school, is just like, no, yeah. I realize where my privilege lies. I realize that I have a partner who, I have the privilege of being able to not work and go to school. I had that.
Mhm.
I had the privilege of someone being able to sit at home and watch the kids while I went to classes that didn't get out till 11 p.m. Those are privileges I recognize that I have.
Mhm.
Um, and with that, I'm still showing my kids like mountains, roadblocks. There's a workaround for it. I don't give a. I got plan A through Z.
Right, right. That's good. Well, listen, at least you've planned for all of those extras. We like to say so you don't get caught with your pants down. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they will at least be very prepared for all of the life that life will throw at them, because they've at least had a good guideline for, how to be able to, deal with that. So I commend you for that. What is it like working with your daughter?
So I'm gonna just say up front that she is a really good. Like, her forethought is amazing, as far as she knows what I need before I know what I need.
Good.
The other piece of that is constantly reminding her, hey, you don't have to do this. You don't have to work for me, because I really do. As much as I love having this stay in the family, because the legacy, to me, I want Imagine Me to outlive me. We just created our nonprofit. So for me, yes, outlive me, and somebody, a Finkley, at least be on the board somewhere.
Right, right.
But that doesn't mean it has to be her. And I remind her all the time of her
Mhm.
own dreams. She's in college for her bachelor's of fine arts, and she's going to be a photographer. And
Love
so I do constantly remind her of, like, hey, don't forget your dreams. And while at the same time, as she's going through this and she's traveling with me and she's, meeting other people in the behavioral health field, she has kind of shifted her focus. And I kind of like, hey, are you sure? Because you really are good at this. And just letting her know that mom's going to be okay. Imagine Me is going to be okay. And we will always have all your beautiful work as our foundation. Um, but she is definitely, I would not be able to do a lot of things. She keeps my calendar straight. We went to lunch the other day with someone and she's taking notes, and it didn't even dawn on me to take notes.
Oh,
And we get
I
to the
love
elevator and I was just like, were you taking notes? And she's like, yeah, because you're going to forget everything. And I was like, you're right.
that. Oh, I love that. I love that. That's so amazing. Well, I was like, it's good that she can be able to obviously too bring herself, and you
Mhm.
can be able to appreciate what she brings to the table. But you've still given her that space to, be her. And you never know. Like it might just be that she brings her photography work to this. Or, as a lot of our guests have also said, sometimes certain things bring us to other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started off in food. I'm a doula. Like, what? You know what I
Okay.
mean? But, eventually those things happen like that. And it was because of certain people that I met and being around certain circles that then allowed me to make this shift. Now, does that
Mhm.
mean that the food dies? No, the food doesn't die. Now I just bring it with me to this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of space and a lot of different ways that she can be able to spin what she brings, you know what I mean, to the
Yeah.
foundation, but at the same time, not necessarily, like you said, lose herself and what she wants to do. But I think it's such a beautiful thing that you guys get to work together, and that you guys are building, something together. Especially as a mother daughter, because a lot of times it's always like, rah, and I'm sure it is. It's life. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
to be able to see a lovely working relationship and the fact that now, as she's older, you can really appreciate her for who she is, and she's not just a kid anymore.
Same. It's so surprising just seeing her interact with other people in the field. I took her to an event a couple weeks ago and she is talking to executives and I'm just like, where'd this person come
I
from?
bet you were just like so proud.
I was, and I'm trying to like stay in like my business mode, but I'm in
Right.
like proud mama mode. Like, this is my daughter standing here. Like, okay.
Oh, that is so wonderful. That's so wonderful. Oh my goodness. So listen, what about, let's see, how have you managed? So you did mention that Don was in the military. How did you manage that with, like you said, still finding yourself, keeping yourself, moving a lot, keeping some kind of consistency and continuity for the family all in all?
My faith above all.
Mm.
I had to very much stay connected to my faith. It was really hard, especially dealing at that time is when my mental health was at its worst, where because Don is my best friend, my partner, like everything. And so it'd be times where he would be gone and it would be hard. I don't like comparing it to being a single mom, even though some military wives do. I had a single mom, that's why I don't.
Right,
So
right.
I still had a lot of resources. But I really had to take care, I had to maintain my faith and I had to take care of myself before I took care of anyone else. My cup had to be full because I could not pour from an empty cup. And that meant really whatever it is in that at that moment that was for me, whatever self-care, whether it was gaming, doing something for myself. Um, Routine was a big thing. So we would like every Friday, we're going to go to the farmer's market, just something we look forward to. Uh, Mom's going to do a sleepover, things like that, that would have them look forward to things. Family was a huge thing. The two major deployments that he had were both times we were in New Jersey. So it
Hmm.
helped worked out because, my
Yeah.
family's from DC and, mom and dad Finkley are in New York. And if I wasn't at their house every other weekend, they were visiting New Jersey. I
Wonderful.
believe they had a key. I'm pretty sure they had a key. And I made I also created my own family. That's the beautiful thing about being a military spouse. You meet others, and there are three, at least three right now, where we're still in contact. One is I call my bestie soulmate. Might as well be my sister. And so all of those things really kept me grounded and kept my head on my shoulders.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I have a few very close friends who are military wives as well, and I know that that's definitely not an easy feat. I like to say thank you for your service as well, because you are giving, the best parts of you for someone else and praying that, they come home, you know what I mean? And I'm sure building a family, having, children, and still then having that loom is has got to be a thing. What was it like when he decided that he was done?
I was excited because so my parents were Marines,
Hmm.
and then Don joins the Air Force. So the military has been a part of my life for a very long time.
Okay, so you had a little bit of an idea. Okay.
Yeah, and just knowing what his future plans were, I was so excited to see him finally do the things that he wanted to do. Because he did sacrifice a lot going in. Because, like I said, we had a baby really early. And what do? Uh, you put things on hold and you take care of your family. And I'm really thankful to him for that. So it's just seeing him. We talk a lot because we love the book The Alchemist. That's one of our favorite books that we have together. And we talk about him living his personal legend and how beautiful it is to just watch it and not have the military in it. Also being able to choose where we live. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We have not been able to choose where we've lived. So we've lived in 5 states. Uh, he retired here, so we're still here, but we're looking forward to, you know, branching out and just starting roots somewhere else and just, I can't wait.
That's awesome. What is it like, I guess now supporting him in a different role? Like you said, he is someone who always puts you first. So now what's it like for him to not have to do, but now he can kind of choose to do what he wants to do?
Well, you know Don. So I will say he is a constant fixer. So even though he should be like babe, just go ahead and do your thing. He still will, he likes to fix, and he's a great provider. Um, and he don't know how to sit down. I'll say that. I'll say that. But it's a good thing. It's a good
Okay,
thing.
it's a good.
I mean, we have our moments when we're like tonight tomorrow's my birthday and we're flying out to Cocoa Beach. So tonight we're, gonna grab a hotel close to the airport, and I'm just like, so this is when we have our chill, our whew time.
Yes.
But like this, when he first retired, I will say that there was a huge adjustment because that's when I was just getting into my career.
Mm.
And he wasn't used to me having a schedule and having a calendar and saying, "Hey, babe, did you check my calendar?" And it's just like, "What?" Like,
Yeah,
who? What?
right, exactly. Wait, you have something other to do than the house stuff? Like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
School stuff, kid stuff, like
Yeah. So that was the
absolutely.
adjustment piece. We've learned how to kind of combine our schedules. We do our Google Calendar, the family calendar. Um, a lot of reminding. Hey, babe, remember? Babe, remember? And we remind each other a lot. Lots of grace in the
Yeah,
area because he's also decompressing from being in the military and now coming to civilian life.
absolutely.
And like even like the language is different, the work environment. And so I love knowing something, and when he asks me like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, finally."
I love it. I love it. I was obviously the great, like you said, the grace is so necessary. I feel like any kind of relationship, but especially when you guys are going back and forth, like the grace was necessary. I'm sure as you were working on a lot of your healing,
Yeah.
I'm sure as a partner. I know for myself, and as I've worked on things and I've been now doing a lot of self reflection, I know that when I was in the thick of my postpartum depression and dealing with abandonment issues, I definitely was not bringing my best self to the situation. And it must have not been easy for my husband to have been married to me at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that you guys are both, and like I was saying, the key word being grace in that is giving each other grace and that space to be able to grow, find yourselves, and really just, get your own mojo. Like this is really the
Hmm.
time that you guys kind of would have had early on.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So now it's like you guys get to like Benjamin Button it and like
Yep.
young again and really
Yep.
just like, fulfill the fun things that you get to do. Cause, you guys have done a lot of heavy lifting, like three beautiful girls. You guys are almost, empty nesters.
Yes.
So,
Only a little excited, just a little bit.
just a little bit. I can't imagine what that is going to be like. So how have you kept your identity through all of this? And how have you seen yourself grow in, let's just say, the last 2 years?
Okay. So I will say the first thing will definitely be my spirituality. Um, just really plugging into it actually allowed me to be more authentic when I was able to plug into those moments. Counseling. Counseling was a huge thing. So I struggled with depression and anxiety, OCD, and like you said, it is hard on the spouse to deal with those things. I've been through treatment, a few, attempts, and so those things were hard. And I am very thankful that I had a partner who was learning the same time I was, because
Mm,
we were both like, no, like this can't be. No, I'm not gonna do all of that stuff because I just need to change my mindset, and not realizing all the work that I had to do, all the trauma I had to process, all of the things that were showing up and making even the mental illness worse. Um, I also had to come to terms with marrying the two, myself and my mental illness.
mm,
Because I found when I was trying to separate myself from it, not so I don't 100% say like, I don't like, oh, I'm depressed. I will say
right.
things, I have depression or I can be depressed, but the understanding that this is a part of my makeup, um, that I have these quirks, I have these things. It doesn't necessarily make me a broken person. It makes me a person who my brain is just a little different. I'm also I have ADHD, so I'm also
Right.
very much, and that's a hard thing for a spouse to deal with too, because just the constant like regulating my emotions or trying to think about what he's going to say before he says it, and it's totally off.
Yeah. Yes.
So just understanding those parts of me and not being ashamed of it, um, taking care of it, because that's my responsibility. The trauma wasn't my fault, but the healing is my responsibility.
Yeah.
Um, Maintaining the boundaries for myself, because boundaries are more about me than everyone else. So recognizing what are my actions next, and knowing that when my actions have not been aligned with my authentic self, my values, my core values, who I am as a person, that's when things didn't go right for me. I can look back and see those moments in my life where I was working out of line with who I am and what I believe in.
Right.
Oh, um, lots of journaling. I did a whole lot of journaling.
Okay.
I know it's not everybody's bag, but I love to journal. Um, my self-care is very important. I meditate a lot right now. That's where I find myself. That's where I can hear the small voice.
Mm-hmm.
um, I believe that a lot of things that I do are, and some people think I'm crazy when I say it, but like some things that I believe in, that some things that I do are divinely driven. I I'm just
Yeah.
like, some things will come to me in my quiet time with myself, in my self care, or during my meditations. Um, I'll write it down for later if it comes back to me, or if it's still pressing. I'm like, okay, hear you, going with it. That's how Imagine Me started. Just like that. It just wouldn't go away.
So talk to us a little bit about Imagine Me. What is Imagine Me? What exactly do you do? Is there a website? Can we donate? All that good stuff.
So Imagine Me, right now, it's a counseling practice. It really just started off as a way for me, as a platform for my podcasts. And I wanted to help others to imagine themselves the way they loved their loved ones, imagine them, the way their creator imagines them. A lot of times the voices that we've had throughout our lives that have been negative, that have painted us not in our true, authentic selves, we show up that way. Pretty soon that becomes your voice. And that's how I was showing up in the world. Even when I became a department head and I'm making all of this money, which is what you want to do, right? That's your goal. Why am I so unhappy?
Right.
Why can't I should be ecstatic, and I wasn't. And it's because I didn't see who I was. I was stuck on like, well, I experienced this, I went through this, I did this, I said this, and that was who I was.
Right.
And through my healing, I kind of unwrapped myself, untangled myself from those things. So Imagine Me was about my journey, and then I was hopeful that others would see that. I also wanted to bring forward some mental health terms, or we all talk about mental health, but not like mental illness.
Right.
We talk about like the maintenance, but we never talk about why you need it. So I
Right.
wanted to bring that forward because I felt like representation was important. I felt it was important to have a Black woman saying like, hey, I had OCD and I had to go through, these are the things that I went through. I had anger issues. This is what I did. I have social anxiety. This is how I do it. I use myself as an example a lot in my podcast. Then when I got the counseling piece, which I'm still working out right now, right? I'm thankful that my books are full. I'm deciding to keep just a client load, a really small client load, and doing mostly groups. I love to do groups. Therapeutic groups are my jam. So,
Okay. I guess what's different with a group versus one-on-one? Because I've actually never done a group therapy session before. So what is that like?
So I personally feel that if you are counseling curious, try a group. Groups will also tell you a lot about the practice because your facilitators they're representing the practice. And then the group members, the people that they attract, that also tells you about the practice. I feel safer in groups. It was kind of my break in through counseling, getting comfortable with using my own voice, getting comfortable with being able to be vulnerable in spaces. And when you can do that amongst a group of people, it's smooth sailing in counseling.
Okay.
So also there's the added benefit of knowing that you're not a monolith, you're not an anomaly. People out here are going through the same things. A lot of the groups that I run a mama's group for moms of all stages and any type of mom. If you're an auntie and you take care of kids, come here. Anger management, I'll do that. I do a lot of addiction recovery groups. I feel honored to be in that space because that is not my story, and it is a hard field to get into when that's not your story. So I always go into that space and letting people know that, number one, addiction's not my story, but I'm honored that you would allow me to share this space with you.
Right. Wow. So I was like, you are doing a lot. And is this virtual? Is this a combination of in-person and virtual?
It's both. So the anger management class is virtual and in person. We're actually starting a bully group, which will be 100% in person. It's for the local schools. We all have a junior and a senior group. That was Jada's idea. So she helped me create the group. So I was like, let's do it.
I love it. Exactly. See, still keeping it in the family.
Yeah.
I love it.
The mamas group is mostly in person. I do a hybrid, because I do know it's hard as a mom to make it out to those types of things. And we do have a Mother's Tea coming up, uh, the day before Mother's Day, where we'll have a guest speaker who I'm really excited about. And all of the groups are either grant funded or can be paid through by insurance. And since I don't have a actual building yet, my landing space is with Chrysalida Inc. and they are in Colorado Springs. Wonderful place where the CEO is Glory McDaniel, and her whole staff is bilingual. So I'm working my way up to learning Spanish.
I love it. You are forever learning. I love this. I love it.
I think I'm going to be learning till the day I die. I am a constant. I love to learn. I just don't like school, but I love to learn.
Listen, I am right there with you. Don't make me have to sit down at a desk, but trust me, I'm gonna learn something.
Yep, and I learn from everybody. Everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's wonderful. So, are you licensed for? You're licensed for what states?
So I'm licensed in Colorado only right now.
Okay.
And right now the counseling, it's going through a lot of shifts, particularly since COVID. So they are making it so that we can start treating people across state lines, but it's an extra certification, which I'll probably go through. I just finished doing EMDR training, so I am EMDR certified, which is for people with trauma, and it has a somatic focus. My therapeutic approaches, I do somatic therapy because I love doing things with body work. A lot of my clients, I'll have them up out of their seats. It's not going to be a traditional, I'm like, where do you feel that? Okay, I'll get in with them. I also will do acceptance and commitment therapy because that was a huge part of my healing. And I'm dabbling into some liberation psychology, which is really interesting. And it basically tells us, any marginalized group. It's not just for BIPOC, any, and just tells us, yeah, things suck, and you don't have to be okay with it. Because some of the more traditional ones, okay, let's work around this because you kind of have to adjust it. Yeah, that and it's a lot of and. I'm taking the buts out, and liberation psychology is that avenue to do that.
I love it. Well, since I know your husband is into acting, I happened to see this movie this weekend. I think you guys would probably both like it, but you would appreciate this even more based upon that. Have you seen the American Society of Magical Negroes?
No.
So I read the review and like someone had given it like a 1 out of 10. But when I started to read the review, I was like, oh, this person is butthurt and just angry. Makes me want to watch this even more now.
Okay.
So when I tell you turned it on and really just talked specifically about taking out all of those buts and just making it what it is. And I will just say this because I don't want to spoil it, but the main character gets to a point where he's like, I'm 27 years old and I just realized that I belong in this world. And, and it was that, and I don't have to make an excuse or make someone else feel more comfortable to validate my existence. Like, no, I'm supposed to be here just as much as you. So it's really about taking all those butts out. So I think you guys would like really, really, really enjoy it.
Okay.
Really enjoy
check it out.
So my last question for you, this will be fun. What do you like to do in your spare time?
I like to game. Believe it or not, I am an avid gamer. People normally they see like this put together person. Normally I'm upstairs in my room with a headset on and I'm like, okay.
Have you always been a gamer?
I was in high school and then I stopped for a while. That's how I met Don, because I am a gamer. Yeah.
Okay. So look, what do you guys like to play?
So we just downloaded this cowboy vampire game that we were gonna get to
Okay.
together. But we both play RPGs, role playing games. So he brought his Dreamcast to school, and I was just like, he was one of the first guys where I mean, because I grew up in the '80s. I'm an early '80s baby, and so I came to him and I was just like, oh, I like the game too. And he was the first guy who was just like, oh, really? Here, let's play this game. It wasn't like, oh, I bet you only play Mrs. Pac-Man or,
Right, right, right.
or Tomb Raider. No, he was just like, oh, for real? Okay. And so we will sit right next to each other. We have two. One day I'm gonna take a picture. We have two TVs in our room, and we will sit next to each other and game like the nerds that we are.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh man. Well, listen, obviously you get to do what you love and then you get to do it with the person you love. So as far as I'm concerned, you are winning. You are winning, winning, winning. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for letting me just ask you so many questions. Give us, I guess, where we can be able to support you for any of our reviewers. I do know I have some folks in the Springs. So once your books are open or you're having some kind of workshops and stuff, I can definitely be able to refer you to them.
Okay. So our site is imaginemeworthy.me. And then you can find us on Facebook at imaginemeworthy.422. And then on Insta, Imagine Me Worthy. All of our groups, if you go on imaginemeworthy.me, you can go to our groups tabs and you can go on there and fill out our interest form. And Maya, my executive assistant, will get right to you.
Don't you like saying that?
Yeah, I do.
That's a level up right there. You're executive.
I know, it's very pinkies up.
I love that.
We do have an app that's going to be rolling out, hopefully, I want to say by August. We are waiting for beta testers. You can actually sign up to be a beta tester. I don't want to release an app that is really buggy. So I'd appreciate any beta testers out there. You'll get the app free for lifetime. After that, it's going to be $60 a year, about $7 a month.
Okay.
My psychology today is Danielle Finklia, and you can look me up there. Let me see. Oh, my podcast, Imagine Me, and we are on all platforms. We are moving our. So I haven't posted in a while because we are kind of moving to more of the video. We were only audio.
Okay.
So, and I have a lot of different guests lined up, not just Don. Don was my co-host, and I know the viewers or the listeners love it. But we're gonna throw in some interviews of some wonderful ladies who are gonna come tell their story, and so you all can imagine yourselves.
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
how it goes.
Absolutely.
And then there's the Imagine Me Worthy Foundation we just started, and well, we don't have a website yet because we literally started like last week.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, listen, we obviously know how to be able to reach you as you
Yes.
continue to build. Let us know, and we can be able to, sow, donate, and help you with, what you're putting together. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me
for
on.
sharing and being vulnerable. It is a pleasure meeting you, virtually at least. Like I said, I have just over the years seen so many wonderful things. I just love the way that you call him Don. I've always known him as Donald. I love the way that, he loves on you and he dotes on you and he dotes on your girls as well. And it's nice because, we were kids. Like we can go back. I want to say he might be like 3-4 years older than me. So yeah, I was like, so it's been some time. Like I remember being like middle school and he was like in high school. So to now see him like grown man, husband, father, like all of these things, it's like, wow, that, it's warming to know that he really is just the stand-up, an amazing guy that he was even still, as a young child. So I am happy for you. Welcome to, our little circle family. And again, thank you so much. If you guys have not already liked and subscribed and shared this episode, make sure that you do. The QR code is there. We are here every Tuesday at 7:15 faithfully. Next week, we will be back at 7:15, and we will have our lovely co-host April back with us. She, like I said, was over here. Thank you, Rita. Rita said she loves the conversation and that spiritual growth is an important message and is important in marriage. Excuse me. Yes, it most definitely is. But yeah, we will be back next week. It is the beginning of a whole new month. We have amazing guests. We get to put a pin now in Colorado for Danielle. We've had a lot of people out there on y'all's end. You know,
Okay.
it's been really nice so far. So without further ado, thank you so much for coming to House of Peach, and we will see you next week. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks again. I appreciate
Bye.
you.
Yeah, I'm so extra. Express myself, I'm next up. Yeah, one more do say.